Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 245. I am your host, Keith Andrew, and I'm here with Jamie Petrone, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for people who want to know what the Keith Andrew Network is, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities that you should never give up or have people label you, and you should prove to them you can still mount to something no matter what. But labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. With that being said, half hour, 40 minutes of your time, you can say anything you want, you can ask me anything you want. I'm going to ask you some easy questions, then I'm going to pass the show over to you, and you can ask me. Supporting a good cause, making a new friend out of it. With that being said, what can you tell us about yourself?
My name is Jamie Petrone. I am an actress. I am a director. I have started an organization called This Ability, and we are opening a performing arts conservatory and professional theater company. We are in the groundwork of all of that, so that's exciting. I teach voice and piano. There's a lot to tell.
No, absolutely. Now, when I came across your Facebook, I saw you work with a lot of people who are in a wheelchair and people who may not know, or if you want to tell them, but you do work with a lot of people in a wheelchair. And how did all of that come about? Like, how did you decide to create your own company?
So I wasn't born with a disability. I got my disability when I was in college. I had an allergic reaction to a medicine, and I got what's called Stevens-Johnson syndrome, which is an allergic reaction that is fatal. I lived through that, and it triggered what is known as transverse myelitis. So I had learned how to navigate the world as a person that was able to walk and perform and dance and do all of that, and then having to relearn everything and how to do it in a wheelchair and how to do it with different abilities was a whole new world. So that was like swimming in deep water without, not knowing how to swim. So I wanted to make it easier for other people that might be going through the same thing, or people that were born with different abilities. So I don't like to use the term disabilities. We call them mixed abilities. We focus on the ability, not the disability, because that it has just this negative connotation. And because I'm in a wheelchair, that makes me able to do more. It makes me able to do what I do in a wheelchair. It doesn't make me not able to do other things. We highlight the fact that we can do different abilities, that we can work with different abilities. So I thought it was really important. I've taught students for years. I have worked with kids for the last 20 years. So kids, adults, all different ages, and I really wanted to expand it so that we could include people with all abilities, not just in wheelchairs, all different abilities. And so we are now like I said, in the groundwork of starting This Ability, and it's pretty exciting.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. And basically, it's not about having people label you. Like, people labeled me as retarded and, handicapped. But, I'm not going to let people dictate, or manipulate how I'm going to live my life. And you're an inspiration because you're in a wheelchair, you're an actress, and you have your own company. So that's two right there. That's really big. And you know what? You can probably do raps around me because, I'm struggling doing my talk show and everything. But you're out there and you're doing everything. So I take my hat off to you.
Well, I think what you're doing is wonderful. I don't think that, we all have our different abilities. We have our gifts. We do what we do. And I think that what you're doing is a fantastic thing. So you should be excited about that.
No, I am, unless it was some people are just a little more supportive.
Well, yeah, it takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. People are going to, it's taken us years. I was on something called the IMPWD, which is Inclusion in the Arts and Media, people, performers with disabilities. And that was a 3-year campaign, and we did that years ago, and we're still trying to get people to we're trying to be able to equal out the playing field as far as auditions, where they wouldn't take you and just sit you down in a wheelchair and have you play the role, but instead they would audition us. It's not about getting the role, it's about getting the audition. And I think that that's taken so many years, way longer than just 3 years. That was that campaign, but it's been forever we've been fighting this. So, it takes time to get things up and off the ground. So you should feel good about what you're doing. So.
No, absolutely. And it's kind of funny that we have something in common. You started your campaign 3 years ago, and I started my talk show 3 years ago. And don't ask me why. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But, the message is good and everything. But what I'm referring to is I did all phone conversations. Because at the time I was suffering from panic attacks and social anxiety. So I thought, okay, well, if you talk over the phone, then that would, help me with my people skills.
Right.
But unfortunately, I'm in the dark. Let me just flip the light. I'm sorry. Alright, so basically when I was doing the phone interview, like I said, I was in the dark, and I was still getting anxiety, I was still having a panic attack, and the other thing people said to me was, you have this great format, you have a great message, why aren't you as big or bigger when you portray yourself to be? Why don't you have people helping you? Why don't you have sponsors? Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? And I was like, oh, that's great. Would you like to help me with getting people to support me and everything? No, if you can't do it yourself, and it's not meant to be. So I was pissed. I hung up the phone. I said, yeah, thanks a lot, asshole.
Yeah.
But one guy did say to me, do it over and try something different. And thanks to him, I did it over. And I should have been doing this from the start, with the video. All my interviews, basically, I record from the camera. 2013 to 14, I was recording from the camera to the screen. So whatever the camera saw, picked it up on the phone. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a camera back then. Actually, Skype recorder.
Gotcha.
Then I would record from the computer screen to the camera would record, but this is the camera, and it recorded what the image saw.
Right.
And people were like, well, why didn't you use Skype recorder in the beginning? Well, if I did that, you wouldn't see a transition. You wouldn't see growth, because I went from the phone, recording from the phone, to the computer screen, to now Skype recorder. I'm doing the best I can with a word and disability. A lot of people like to, be assholes and say, you're not going to amount to anything, you're taking advantage of people, or whatever BS people like to tear me down with. But the point is that you live only once. Labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. And you're a perfect example of that, because you're like I said, you're an inspiration because you're an actress, you're in a wheelchair, you're working with other people, you're in inspiring, I guess, inspiring speaker. And I guess in a way people would say I'm doing the same thing, that with my disability, I am almost an emotional speaker, but inspirational speaker. And it's not a competition, anyway, before we did the interview, my brother was in the background, and he ran out of the room because he was criticizing my talk show, so that's got to me. It's like, but I've been doing this for 3 years, every day for 3 years, and I've been working my ass off, and people are like, you haven't done shit. You're not doing anything. And it really bothers me because this is what I want to do until I die. I don't want to be miserable in my life. Mm-hmm. When they just thumb their nose at it. This really annoys me. Now, this isn't about me. I apologize. This is about you. Now, when you discovered that you had to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, what motivated you to start your career in acting, and what influenced you to help others?
You're frozen. I can't. Oh, now you're better.
Alright, so when you were in a wheelchair, what influenced you to become an actress, and what influenced you to help others?
I was already an actress before I was in a wheelchair, so that never stopped. It just, when I was in college, one of my directors, the director of our department, told me that I should leave school and come back when I was better, because you can't be an actress in a wheelchair. And that was a defining moment for me. I did not leave the school. I got sick because of what happened at school, so I wasn't willing to give up on that and leave. And when you have a passion, that's what you do. You strive to achieve that. Maybe we have to find different ways to achieve it, but it doesn't mean that we stop and we give up on that. What people think is what people think regardless. Whether you had a disability or not, people would tell you, you're not going to amount to this, you're not going to do that, because people live in their own bubble. But you have to do what feels right to you. You have to do what matters to you, because life is short. And when you see what I've seen, when you see what other people have gone through, you really recognize how short life is, and you have to make the best that you can, and you have to reach out to people, you have to help, and you have to be somebody that you want to leave your mark. So that's pretty important. And I think that's why I continued to go on. So.
No, absolutely. Now, the next question I was going to ask. Actually, I'm going to pass the show over to you. Was there any subjects you wanted to talk about? Is there anything that motivates you? This is your time, after all.
Oh, no, you ask. I'm good. I don't. Yeah, you're all good. You ask. So.
All right. Are you on social media? How can your fans follow you?
Yeah, so we have a website. Disabilityarts.org is our website. We also have a Facebook page. If you want to, I have a personal page as well. So you can always follow me just under my name, Jamie Petrone, or you can go to Disability. It's THIS Ability, so as opposed to disability. So I wanted to make that clear because I'm not sure you can understand it when I say it. It's very close. So yeah, you can follow us there. We are, again, we're in the stages of building up the groundwork so that we have the foundation to stand on. We've been working for years doing the workshops, but now we want to become a conservatory. So that's where we are. That's what we're doing.
No, that's really interesting. I would like to know more about it. Have you worked with people, famous people, who are in a wheelchair, or do you work with people with disabilities, or is it just catered to people in wheelchairs?
No, it's for all different abilities. It's not necessarily just about disabilities, so it's not. When you make something exclusive to a certain thing, like if I say it's a conservatory for disabilities, it's no longer inclusive. That makes it exclusive. And our mission is to be inclusive. So it's inclusive of everything. It's inclusive of different cultures, of different abilities. It's inclusive of everything, and we don't want to exclude anybody. So it's not about that. We have worked. My partner his name is Arbender Robinson. He's my artistic director. He is in Shuffle Along right now. He brings in a lot of the Broadway community to work with our students. We have a wonderful board of directors, which are very varied in their different abilities and where they work. And so it brings in so many different levels and different layers. So I think that the diversity starts with us. So I think that's important.
No, absolutely. And if it's a possibility, I would love to come in and be like a speaker and talk to everyone if that's a possibility.
Sure, absolutely. I will definitely put you on our list. Absolutely.
Now, you're the second person who I interviewed who's in a wheelchair. Actually, third person, I'm sorry. But what I mean by second as in being, she's also an actress, mm-hmm. and I think she was on House of Cards, mm-hmm. and I don't remember the second show she was on, but she was on House of Cards, mm-hmm. and like you, she's in a wheelchair. She didn't want people to label her, and she amounted to something. And I interviewed someone else, and she's normal. And that's another thing I want to get to. She's normal like you. Only the fact you guys are in a wheelchair. Then I interviewed someone else who has a disability, who has cerebral palsy, and he's in a wheelchair, but yet he's a filmmaker. And basically the point I'm trying to make is what you were saying. That your company isn't just about people in wheelchairs. It's open to everyone. And going back to me, when I did my talk show, I got actually turned down for a couple of interviews. Some people still don't want anything to do with my talk show because they think, why are you inviting me to be on your talk show? I'm not handicapped. I don't have a learning disability. And I think that's not the point. I'm talking about myself. And I give you a perfect example. If you weren't in a wheelchair and I sent you my message, you would probably think, why is he sending me this message? I'm not in a wheelchair. I don't have a learning disability.
No, I don't see the point I don't know, because why would you only interview people with disabilities? This is a talk show. It's not specified to only people with disabilities. So I don't understand why that would be even brought up. But some people have different viewpoints. So,
or you get the other ones that say, how did he know? I like gothic girls, and I interviewed whites, blacks, Spanish. I cover all my bases. I interview guys, girls, everyone, so I do not discriminate.
Right.
You're helping me do what I love. I don't care. Gay, straight, whatever. You want to have a normal conversation, make a new friend, you're more than welcome to. But I noticed when I was going down the list, I interviewed actors, actresses, models, CEOs, professional wrestlers, dancers, cheerleaders, and that's why I was interviewed. I did a demo interview with Mark Melanie in New York City. I was over the phone. We did a demo interview. And he said, who do you want to get on your show next? And I said, I went down the whole list. And I said, well, I always liked the whole gothic thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe because when I was in high school, I wore all black and I tried hanging out with the gothic kids, but they thought I was emo, and there's a whole high school thing. So I was like, well, I like to get some closer. Mm-hmm. Why not have a couple gothic people on the show? So basically, when I interview some gothic girls or guys, like I said, you're not discriminating. Everyone's more than welcome. And I don't know, I'm trying to cover all my bases. But, like the slogan said, if you try pleasing everyone, and I tried pleasing my family, I tried pleasing a couple people who I look up to, But if you try to please everyone, you're only setting yourself up for failure. Because yes, you're pleasing these type of people, but at the same time, the other ones will be like, yeah, sure, whatever, I don't care. Or will they make up some kind of stupid excuses? It's, I don't know, like I said, I promote myself, I look for people myself, I set up the interviews myself, I'm doing everything myself. And it pisses me off when people thumb their noses down on me, saying, you know what, you're in, you have your head up here. And like I said, it's uncensored freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. That used to be my name of my show until I changed it. Now I use it as a theme. Freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. Now people are just, like you said, they're in their own little bubbles. They want to hear what they want to hear. They're going to do what they're going to do. And if it doesn't benefit them, then they just basically, slap you away because, people are selfish. I'm not doing this for money. Mm-hmm. I would like to become famous, yes. I would like to be well known. But it's basically, I'm using this as a stepping stone, as in, people labeled me as mentally disturbed, retarded, handicapped, whatever excuses. But I would like to be remembered as, and he actually created a talk show. Might go somewhere, might not go somewhere, but that's not the point. The point is that I'm attempting to do something I love, and that's really about it. And all my interviews are different. Some are really good, some are really bad. But wrapping up, I want your honest opinion. You can say anything you want, gloves off. When I first approached you for my talk show, what was your honest opinion of me? And after being interviewed, how do you feel now?
Well, I don't know that I formed an opinion of you because I didn't know you to form an opinion of you. You sent out, the email and asked me and told me what your show was about, and I don't form an opinion until I meet somebody. So that's irrelevant. But I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. I think that you need to maybe not take in what everybody thinks so much. Sometimes we can focus on what other people are saying, what they think of us, and it can bring us, it can stifle us. It can get us stuck in a rut. And I think that instead of, worrying about who likes it or who doesn't like it, you do the best that you do, and people are going to like it just because you're doing what you're doing, because that's who you are. So it's not really about whether people fall in love with it or they don't fall in love with it. You're proving something. You're doing your work, and that's important enough in itself to not put, because if you worry about what everybody is thinking about you, then you will be consumed with that instead of creating. And you're here to create. That's what you do. So focus on the creation of what you're doing, and I think that that's a wonderful thing. So.
No, absolutely. I actually was talking to a Canadian talk show about being interviewed, and I was telling her all these things, and she says, I love how passionate you are. And yet then I tell her about, my family thumbs their nose down at it, and basically from being very passionate, my tone drops to, why are you second guessing yourself? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to please, like I said, I'm trying to please certain people, but if you do that, you're setting yourself up for failure. Right. But with that being said, wrapping up the interview segment, I do want to talk to you after the show. Wrapping up the interview segment, I just want to say it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My pleasure.